Have you ever tried to run from something you just knew you were supposed to do? We all have. We think dodging our calling will bring us some peace and quiet, but what if it only leads us straight into a storm? Well, there's an ancient story about a man who was swallowed by a whale. As the original Hebrew text says, a great fish that has a shocking amount to teach us about our own lives. It's about our fears, our purpose, and the incredible power of a second chance. This isn't just a simple kid's tale. It's a deep dive into who we are and the messy, uncomfortable journey to where becoming the person we're meant to be. The story of Jonah is one of the most famous in the Bible, but it's so much more than a guy and a giant sea creature. It kicks off when God gives Jonah a clear and terrifying command. Get up, go to the great city of Nineveh, and cry out against it, because their wickedness has come up before me. Now, Nineveh was the capital of Assyria, a brutal and violent enemy of Jonah's people. For Jonah, this wasn't just a tough assignment. It was disgusting. He was being asked to offer a shot at redemption to people he hated, people he thought deserved nothing but judgment. And so, Jonah makes a very human choice. He heads down to the port of Joppa, finds a ship sailing to Tarshish, literally in the opposite direction of Nineveh, pays his ticket, and hops aboard, hoping to flee from the presence of the Lord. But as he was about to learn the hard way, some appointments you just can't cancel. God whips up a furious storm, so violent the ship is about to splinter into pieces. The sailors, who are terrified, start praying to their gods and throwing cargo overboard. And where's Jonah? He's fast asleep down below. A perfect picture of someone trying to snooze through the chaos they created. The captain finds him, wakes him up, and tells him to start praying. The crew casts lots to figure out who's to blame for this mess. And you guessed it, the lot falls on Jonah. He comes clean. He tells them he's a Hebrew who worships the God who made the land and the sea. And yeah, he's on the run from him. The sailors are even more terrified now. They ask him what to do, and Jonah, to his credit, takes the blame. "Throw me into the sea," he says, "and it will become calm for you. I know that this great storm is because of me." The sailors, showing a surprising amount of compassion, actually try to row back to shore but can't. So, they say a quick prayer to Jonah's God, ask for forgiveness, and toss him overboard. Instantly, the sea stops raging. And just as Jonah is sinking into the abyss, the Lord appoints a great fish to swallow him. Jonah was in the belly of that fish for 3 days and 3 nights. It's from this dark, suffocating, and hopeless place that the real lessons of his journey begin. Lesson 1. You can't outrun your purpose. The first and most obvious lesson from Jonah is that you just can't outrun your calling. Jonah tried. He literally sailed to the other side of the map to dodge his assignment. But his escape plan led him right into a storm, and then into the belly of a creature sent by the very God he was trying to ghost. This points to a truth we all have to face. Your purpose isn't just an item on your to-do list. It's part of who you are. To run from it is to run from yourself. The psychologist Abraham Maslow actually called this the Jonah complex, the fear of our own greatness. He said, "We're often just as scared of our highest potential as we are of our lowest failures." We see what we could be, feel the weight of that responsibility, and we panic and run. We run to our own versions of Tarshish, the safe job, instead of the risky passion project. The quiet life, instead of the one that demands we speak up. We think we're running toward safety, but we're actually running into a self-made storm. That anxiety, that nagging feeling that something is missing. Those are the winds and the waves telling us we're way off course. Peace isn't found in dodging your destiny. It's found in turning the ship around and heading toward your Nineveh, no matter how scary it looks. Lesson 2. Your bad decisions are never just about you. When Jonah booked it, he probably thought it was a personal problem. His rebellion, his consequences. But the second he stepped on that ship, his choice started wrecking other people's lives. The storm he caused didn't just threaten him. It put a whole crew of innocent sailors in mortal danger. They lost their cargo, faced pure terror, and nearly died, all because one passenger was running from his issues. This is a huge and honestly pretty sobering reminder. Our lives aren't lived in a bubble. Our choices, especially the bad ones, create ripples. When you avoid a hard truth at work, it doesn't just affect you. It can poison the whole team. When you hold on to a grudge, that bitterness doesn't stay put. It leaks out and affects your family and friends. The storm of our own unresolved junk often pulls other people right into it. What's fascinating is that the pagan sailors actually showed more character than the prophet. They feared God, showed Jonah compassion, and tried to save him before giving in. It's a humbling thought. Sometimes the people we look down on are the ones who show the most grace. When we're the ones causing the chaos, the lesson. Think about who else is on your ship. Your integrity isn't just about you. It's something you owe to everyone around you. Lesson 3. Sometimes a storm is a wake-up call. That great wind that nearly destroyed the ship wasn't an accident. The text is clear. The Lord hurled a great wind upon the sea. This storm wasn't a coincidence. It was a confrontation. It was God's way of getting Jonah's attention when the quiet whispers weren't working. Sometimes the loudest messages we get from life come in the form of a crisis. We all go through storms. The sudden layoff, the scary diagnosis, the relationship that our first instinct is to see them as purely bad things to escape. But what if they're actually messengers? What if, like for Jonah, the storm is a divine billboard screaming, "You're going the wrong way"? It's in the middle of the tempest that Jonah was finally forced to admit he was running. Think about the storms in your own life. When has a crisis become a turning point? Hardship has a way of making us get honest with ourselves. It strips away our illusions and forces us to ask the tough questions. Instead of just asking, "How do I get out of this?" a better question might be, "What is this storm trying to tell me?" A crisis doesn't just happen to you. Sometimes it happens for you. Lesson 4. The belly of the whale can be a rescue, not just a punishment. When Jonah gets thrown overboard, that should have been the end. Sinking into the sea seems like a fitting punishment for his rebellion. But then something wild happens. The Lord appointed a great fish to swallow up Jonah. We often see this as the ultimate punishment, but it's not. It was a rescue, a severe mercy. Sure, the belly of the fish was a prison. It was dark, terrifying, and lonely. But it also saved Jonah from drowning. It was a divinely appointed time out, a place where Jonah was stripped of all control, all distractions, all escape routes. It was only in this place of total darkness and helplessness that he could finally turn back to God. This teaches us that our lowest moments, our own belly of the whale, experiences can be where the real transformation happens. When you hit rock bottom, whether through failure, loss, or shame, it feels like the end. But that's often the place where our pride is shattered and we're finally open to something new. The belly of the whale isn't just a place of punishment, it's a place of incubation. It's a dark, uncomfortable pause before you get spit out onto the shore, ready for a fresh start. From inside the suffocating, slimy darkness of the great fish, Jonah does the only thing he can. He prays, and his prayer is one of the rawest in all of Scripture. It's not polite or polished. It's a desperate scream from the bottom of the world. He admits he's done for, saying, "The waters closed in over me to take my life. The deep surrounded me." But in the very next breath, he says, "When my life was fainting away, I remembered the Lord, and my prayer came to you." This tells us something huge about prayer. It doesn't require a fancy church, the right words, or feeling good enough. The most powerful prayers often burst out of pure desperation. It's the cry of the soul when every other door has been slammed shut. Have you ever felt too broken, too ashamed, or too far gone to even try to connect with God? Jonah's story says, there is no place so deep or so dark that a sincere cry for help can't be heard. The belly of the fish is a metaphor for anything that makes us feel trapped, depression, grief, but it's in those exact moments that we can find a connection that is stronger than our circumstances. You don't have to clean yourself up to cry for help. You just have to be willing to cry out. Lesson 6. Failure isn't final. Second chances are real. After 3 days, God speaks to the fish, and it vomits Jonah onto dry land. Then, something incredible happens. The scripture says, "Then the word of the Lord came to Jonah a second time." It's the same exact command as before. "Get up, go to Nineveh, and proclaim to it the message I give you." God didn't pick someone else. He didn't disqualify Jonah for his epic failure. He just gave him a second chance. This is one of the most hopeful messages in the entire story. We live in a world that often cancels people for their mistakes, but this story screams that restoration is possible. Jonah had failed spectacularly. He was disobedient, he put others in danger, and he only turned back to God when he hit rock bottom. And yet, his purpose wasn't taken away. His mission was waiting for him right where he left it. This is a direct challenge to the lie that your past mistakes define your future. We've all run in the wrong direction. We've all let fear win at some point. It's so easy to believe we've blown our shot. Jonah's story is a powerful reminder that grace is real. A second chance doesn't just mean you're forgiven. It means you're restored to purpose. Your biggest failure can become the foundation for your greatest comeback. Lesson 7. God's mercy extends to everyone, even your enemies. So, Jonah finally obeys. He trudges to Nineveh and delivers what might be the worst sermon ever. It's 5 words in Hebrew. In 40 days, Nineveh will be overthrown. He did the absolute bare minimum. And yet, the result is jaw-dropping. The people of Nineveh actually believe him. Everyone, from the king on his throne to the poorest peasant, starts fasting and repenting. The king even issues a decree telling everyone to turn from their evil and violence. And seeing that they're serious, God changes his mind and spares the city. This should be a victory party, right? But for Jonah, it's a catastrophe. He is furious that his obedience led to the salvation of his enemies. This moment reveals the real reason he ran in the first place. It wasn't just fear, it was prejudice. He didn't want the Ninevites to be saved. He wanted them to be destroyed. This part of the story is a mirror for our own hearts. It forces us to ask, who are our Nineveh? Who are the people or groups we've decided are unworthy of a second chance? A political rival? A difficult family member? Jonah's story is a powerful declaration that God's mercy isn't limited by our prejudices. It's for everyone, even the people we can't stand. It challenges us to grow a bigger heart and realize that no one is beyond the reach of forgiveness. Lesson 8. Your small act of obedience can change everything. Jonah's reluctant, half-hearted act of obedience resulted in the transformation of an entire city, the biggest city in the known world at that time. He probably thought his grumpy little sermon would do nothing. He likely expected to be laughed at or killed. But his simple act of speaking the truth kicked off a chain reaction that saved over 120,000 people. This is a huge lesson about the power of one person. We constantly underestimate our own impact. We think, what difference can I make? I'm just one person. Jonah's story is the ultimate answer to that question. You have no idea what is hanging in the balance of your decision to step up, your choice to have that hard conversation, to stand for what's right, to offer forgiveness. To start that little project you feel called to it might seem tiny to you, but it could be the spark that changes everything for your family, your company, or your community. We aren't responsible for the outcome. We're just responsible for our obedience. One faithful step can create an echo you could never have imagined. Lesson 9. God cares more about your heart than your performance. After Nineveh is spared, Jonah throws a pity party. He stomps out of the city, builds a little shelter, and sits there, hoping God will still rain down fire on everyone. He did the right thing, but his heart was all wrong, and God isn't done with him. The final chapter isn't about Jonah's mission. It's about his heart. God makes a plant grow to give Jonah shade, and Jonah is exceedingly glad about this plant. He loves this plant. Then God sends a worm to kill the plant, and it withers. As the hot sun beats down, Jonah gets angry and says, "It is better for me to die than to live." Then God drops the final soul-piercing question of the book. You feel sorry for a plant that you didn't even work for, one that grew up in a night and died in a night. So why shouldn't I feel sorry for the great city of Nineveh, with its 120,000 people who don't know their right hand from their left, and also all their animals? God was more concerned with Jonah's bitter, selfish heart than with his successful preaching career. Outward performance means nothing if your heart is full of resentment. True change is an inside job. It's about getting our hearts in line with mercy and love, not just checking off the right boxes. Lesson 10. The story isn't about Jonah, it's about compassion. The book of Jonah ends with that question hanging in the air. We are left with the jarring image of Jonah's petty rage over a plant versus God's massive compassion for a city. And that's the point. The hero of this story is not Jonah. Jonah is flawed, bigoted, and whiny. The hero is God, whose relentless, pursuing, and all-encompassing compassion drives the entire narrative. Jonah was mad at God for being, in his own words, a gracious and compassionate God, slow to anger and abounding in love. He was angry at God for being God. The story is a final rebuke to our own small-mindedness. We, like Jonah, can get more worked up about our own comfort, our own politics, and our own sense of justice than we do about the well-being of other people. We get angry when grace is shown to people we think don't deserve it, completely forgetting that we're all recipients of that same unearned grace. The final lesson is a call to see the world through a lens of compassion, to value people more than plants, more than our comfort, our possessions, or being right. It challenges us to measure our lives not by our success, but by the size of our compassion. The story is an invitation to let our hearts break for the things that break God's heart and to cheer when mercy wins. So, there you have it. A masterclass in purpose, failure, and compassion, all from a reluctant prophet and a giant fish. Jonah's journey reminds us that running from our purpose only leads to a storm, but that storm can be the very thing that saves us. It shows us that failure is never final and that second chances are real. Most of all, it asks us the same question it asked Jonah. Will we choose to care about what truly matters? Which of these lessons hit home for you? Drop it in the comments below. We'd love to hear how this ancient story connects with your life today. And if you want more deep dives into timeless wisdom, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss what's next. See you in the next video. God bless you.